Hey, everybody. It's your anonymous caregiver back again. How is everyone doing out there? I want to talk specifically to the caregivers. If there are any caregivers in the audience, I just want you to interact back and forth with me during this discussion because if you have anything that's helpful in this discussion in my journey, caregiving journey, I just want you to comment below. Give me a heads up. I appreciate all the encouraging words I've gotten over the last couple of days from those surrounding me. I just want to talk about over the last 7 days an experience. I used to always tell you, and I say it again, I usually only talk about things that I know about, things that I have experienced, things that I am in the midst of. Those are the things I usually talk about because everything else is irrelevant to me. Not totally irrelevant, but where I am right now is what I discuss mostly because that's where I am right now. And it's critically important to me. I'm a caregiver for a 94-year-old mom. I've cared for my mom for over 20 years. She lived under my roof a couple of years back, maybe about 10, 15 years ago, for a short time. But now she is literally living under my roof in my home for the last 7 years. Yes, indeed. In November it'll be 7 years. I did what I thought was right in the eyes of the Lord concerning everything I did to get my mother to live with me. I knew that she needed help. I knew that she was without monies. Monetary issues were always the focal point in her life. There was always an issue with money. So here we are, the last of days in life, and there is no money that she has. So I took her in to care for her at my home. Okay, so over the last couple of weeks and months, I have noticed a lot of changes in my mom, degenerative changes. She had COVID in November. I shared that with you. And she was hospitalized, and she made it through that, and she came home, and she was under physical therapist training, therapy in my home 3 times a week. And that was going along very smoothly for the time period that it lasted. And then after that, I was the one that carried her through those routines daily. And it was going pretty good. She didn't she did not want to do her therapies, and she actually got a kick out of it. And the more she did those exercises, the better she got, physically. She came back from that COVID very well, I think, for someone at that age, of that age. Okay, so the bottom line is let's catch up to what's going on right now. Over the last couple of days and weeks, I've noticed a lot of changes in my mom. She has had bouts of anger and combative, combative behaviors towards me. And that in itself is not actually new either, but it was months ago. And now it's coming back. And it's like full force. So let's talk about last Friday when I had to call the EMTs to the house because she was very angry and very volatile. I mean, she had her fists up, Lord. Guys, I mean, she had her fists up and she was ready to battle over something that had nothing to do with anything, basically. It was a simple discussion about paperwork. Paperwork that had nothing to do with this day and age. It was something from back in the 1900s, literally. And she just was going into a rage over it. But the bottom line was I had to put a buffer between us, and I needed to get some assistance. And that's what I did. I called them and they came in, and she passed all of her vitals. And they looked at me and said to me, "Are you sure it was your mom or was it you?" Because she changed everything about her personality. She was gentle, docile, inviting. She just threw everything into chaos for me because I didn't know where she was coming from at that point. So okay, so bottom line was I am now reaching out for assistance like never before. I used to talk about how I care for my mom in a different way with those that know me. You know, they would ask, "How you doing with your mom?" She's fine, and I would go into a little detail about what she's doing lately and that kind of thing, but nothing serious. It was always on the up and up. Simple. She was doing great for 94. Okay, but now I'm reaching out to my community, to my church members, to those resources in the community that are available for caregivers or those that or the care of those that are caregiving. So anyway, I just want to read this quick article to you because I came across it today and it makes so much sense to me because this is exactly where I am right now. The title of it is When a Caregiver is the One Being Abused, because that's where I am right now, y'all. Being abused by a 94-year-old woman on a daily basis, seemingly now. It used to be every now and then, now it's up and down, okay? But it says in some situations, seniors are the ones who become emotionally and or physically volatile with their caregivers, which I've been taking note. I've been monitoring my mom over the years, and I found that to be very true. Elders can react poorly to their increasing dependence on others and may therefore express nothing but resentment for their caregivers. I got that. I used to try to give my mother as much freedom and independence as possible, and I had to draw back on a lot of things that she used to do because it was not logical anymore or safe anymore for her to do. That included driving, that included cooking, and a number of other areas I had to draw back on because even going to get the mail out of the mailbox, that made her so angry because I told her it was not safe. She fell a couple of times doing that. Why would you do it again? I'll do it. That's why I'm here. So anyway, elders can react poorly to their increasing dependence on others and may therefore express nothing but resentment for their caregivers. If there were previous issues within the relationship, that's another checkbox for me because we never had a good relationship. So already we're in a stressful situation, but through the grace of God, it has been smooth up until now. These can be magnified due to the added stress of caregiving and declining health. Oftentimes, there was already a history of domestic abuse or narcissistic behavior that only intensifies with the pain and frustration of illness or disability. To make matters worse, it says, neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia can cause changes in behavior and mood, agitation, poor judgment, and even violent reactions in some situations. Okay, so just taking that portion of that article in consideration, I took my mom for a dementia test Tuesday, just this past week, Tuesday. She didn't do well with it. She was already annoyed that she had to even be in the doctor's office because she doesn't enjoy that, which I can understand. I don't either. But I had to do that because I knew something drastic has changed over the last couple of weeks. So we took that test, and now she's going to be seen by a geriatric division of the medical care, and we'll go from there. But in the meantime, she is up and down in her behavior and her mood swings. And if you are a caregiver and you are subject to being abused in any way, let me know how you handled it, okay? Because this is a very difficult situation. And I just want to read this one thing that I found so interesting in this article. Let me just find it. While there are many protections and safety nets for elderly and disabled individuals who report their abusers. The same is not true for caregivers, y'all. As part of my research for this article, the person that wrote this article, they said as part of their research for this article, they contacted the Adult Protective Services, APS, in 2 local counties and found that there are no supportive services for caregivers who are being abused. Moi, short of reporting the incident to the police. Even if the caregiver chooses to file a police report, they're subject to an investigation that all too often comes down to a he said, she said situation. Typically, the elderly or disabled abuser is more likely to receive the sympathy and support. And often, when caregivers take action against their abusers, they risk being the target of retaliatory accusations of abuse, which can have very serious implications even if they are false. Okay, so knowing that statement right there, that statement really grabbed my attention because, yes, indeed, I called the EMTs because I needed some assistance with my mom's behavior. And I thought for sure they were going to take her to the hospital and give her an assessment and that kind of thing. But according to my medical affidavit that I have for my mom, it won't allow me to do that unless she's totally out of her right mind. But as I said earlier, when they got here, she acted as if she was perfectly fine. So they couldn't take her anyplace, okay? So then the next question was, if I called the police, EMT suggested I could call the police and they could take her in. Why would I want to call the police? I felt at 94, I'm going to have my mother arrested, taken in. No, it just didn't add up to me. I said, that is not the route I want to take, y'all. So in the meantime, I have a host of resources that I just mentioned earlier on also that I am in pursuit of right now. I am going from each one of those suggested resources to see what kind of help I can get for myself as well as my mom. You know that old saying, you have got to put on your oxygen mask before you can put it on anyone else. I know that I need assistance right now, and I am going to ask for assistance right now. I'm going to be aware and cognizant of everything coming my way, and I am going to take steps to make sure that I take care of myself as I take care of my mom.